Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be Garen versus Nasus in the Baron lane. This is my promotion to Grandmasters, so fingers crossed I win this. Spoiler alert, I do win this. Now you may be wondering why I'm using the spectator mode versus my in-game point of view. The chat was quite lively in this match, and I don't really want to share that or block off the chat too often, so I just thought I'd do the replay version instead. And of course, the easy way to solve this is to turn off chats, but that kind of misses the fun of it. So how do you lane against Nasus? Well, Garen is a fantastic counter for Nasus because of his first ability. Whenever Nasus uses his second ability, you'll always use your first ability, and it kind of negates it pretty much. Whenever Nasus wants to farm, you just chase him with your big sword and spin to win. And you can see just how effective that is in the first few levels. Of course, Nasus can get really strong as the game progresses, so you want to end this as fast as possible. So I'm going to slow this down to kind of explain to you guys what I do there. And I do this very often, I've never explained it. So the turret has a recharge time. Once it shoots its laser, it can't change targets. So in this instant, the target was already targeting the minion. So I used my first ability on Nasus, and even though I was in turret range, it didn't hit me because it was already shooting its shot. So Nasus is super low and he has no way to heal. So once he gets close enough, I'm going to use my first ability and then my third ability to spin on him and then ignite to kill him. That's a quick first blood there. Now of course, any person in the right mind would technically go back in the situation, but that's not me. I like to take risks and take forever in my lane. So I'm going to wait for the next minions to come along and try to farm as much as I can. And when you do use Garen's third ability, you want to make sure you hit some of the enemies, or whether that be a champion or minion, with the edge of the sword because it does critical damage. So before I leave, I'm going to make sure I get myself at least one of these plates. Now you may be wondering, why am I so confident that I can take plates and push so hard without being attacked by Wukong? Well, in the actual game, I was using my minimap to see that Wukong was on his red side. You saw Master Yi just killed him, and he would pop up every once in a while on the minimap. So if you go back and see that last few minutes or so, you'll see Wukong show up near Karma and Lucian's lane. That's how I knew that I was free from getting ganked, especially because Ahri won't roam, at least till she hits level 5, or until she gets her ultimate to roam much more effectively. Now the first item I'm building with Garen is going to be Black Cleaver because of the way that it removes armor passively when I'm attacking Nasus. Well, Nasus' ultimate gives him armor, so me having Black Cleaver pretty much just shreds the bonus that he gets from his ultimate. I was hoping to kill Nasus before he hit level 5, but I wasn't able to, and Master Yi's right here trying to go for a gank. I tried setting one up by letting Nasus push towards me, however Master Yi gets a little too excited and ganks a bit too early for my liking. He's going for it with Nasus being really close to the turret, which means we have to turret dive, which means that with Wukong's counter gank, we are both really exposed. Unfortunately, Master Yi, although he's trying to heal all of this, dies to Wukong. I still kill Wukong, so it is a 2-for-1 trade, and I believe I'm going to go for a third plate here, which I successfully take, and I'm out of there. But I'm just kidding. Unlike most people, I generally like to overstay my welcome, as you might know by now. So I push out this wave, trying to get to the turret, and I'm going to take this honey fruit from Nasus so he has no healing by the time he gets back. Unfortunately, Nasus is back before I can get to the turret, so this was just a waste of time. Except for the fact that I was able to push out these minions, so Nasus has to push it out to get to my turret. It is now 4 minutes into the match, which means in 1 minute, Rift Herald and Dragon will spawn. In this 1 minute, I will try my best to be extremely aggressive to gain a lane priority, which means I can roam freely, while Nasus either has to recall to heal up, or has to deal with my minions pushing towards his turret. Now you may have noticed that Lucian is on a killing spree. It was at this moment where I realized that the recording was not going to work out anymore. I have now taken 4 out of 5 plates from this turret. It is extremely low. Now some people build Hullbreaker with Garen first item. If they had, probably would have taken this turret. Although I generally don't like to take Hullbreaker because it's not really team fight focused. And as a tank, I like to be part of a team fight. So right here, I managed to get Nasus to force out his ultimate, which means that he has no more ultimate if there is going to be a team fight that ensues for Dragon. At about 5 seconds, I start to recall, hoping my team will not engage in Dragon until I get there, but regardless if they do, Nasus will not be a big problem. And you're going to see Tristana pop off. She gets a triple key here, which means that we are back at work, you know, she's popping off. However, she gets a little too hype and goes for Ahri, and she gets caught out by Ahri. You know, sometimes that happens, you gotta get hype. I would have recommended going back to Dragon at that point, but that doesn't matter. So thankfully we have boards here, because you're going to see Ari walk around Dragon Pit, and I see her, I'm going to wait for her and bait her out. I'm going to use a Lulu here as baits. Once Ari sees Lulu, she's going to try using her charm, so I flash, preventing that from happening. I silence her from doing anything else, and with a little chop chop, she is dead. That was a pretty calculated move there. And with the 4 of us, we successfully take Dragon, and Master Yi is here now to take it with Smite, I hope. And Wukong, out of nowhere, I am getting shot from left and right. I'm about to die. I use my ultimate. Lulu uses her ultimate on me. I use my Gargoyle's enchantment to survive all of that. I pretty much did that on purpose. It's kind of like a Trinimir baits. They didn't know I had all of that ready to go. So thankfully, everyone just did that really calculated and coordinated. Now it is time to rotate towards Rift Herald. Unfortunately, our Master Yi is dead once again. I cannot take it myself, at least not without getting in trouble for it, so I am instead going to focus on Scuttle Crab, which is a much safer route. So you notice that there's a big fight in middle lane. Nasus is almost dead, so I chase him towards Master Yi and then I run away. It is not necessary for me to continue chasing him, so instead I focus on starting Rift Herald so Master Yi and I can finish it together. Now unfortunately, Tristana also dies Dragon Lane, which means we need to take this Rift Herald and just completely destroy Baron Lane's turret. I'm hoping that Master Yi will follow me, but instead he finds Wukong and chases him instead of going for the turret, which in my opinion is much more important, because remember, KDA doesn't win games, taking the Nexus wins games, and how do you take the Nexus? By taking these turrets. So who cares if Wukong is there? Go for the turret, my friend. Thankfully we secure first turret. And Wukong here just precisely uses his clone for me to ult the wrong person. And now I am trapped between 3 people because Master Yi died. So I drop Rift Herald to try to get at least, you know, some damage off to those turret. And I try to get away from these guys. I'm saving my first ability to when Nasus uses his Wither. So when that slow happens, I just completely negate it. I proc my Grasp of the Undying for some heals, and I am out of there. Now I know Nasus wants to take this turret, so I am going to defend this. I was going to recall, but I realized that maybe I need to keep these guys here. I don't know where Ari is. If I did know where she was, I would probably chase Nasus here, but I don't know where she's at, so I place the ward here. She's nowhere to be found, so now I start to attack Nasus. I take the minions to make sure I don't take too much minion aggro, and here he does something really weird. He thinks that he has minions, I think, so that was an ult for an ult, and he dies yet again. That was pretty lucky, I'm going to say. The third item I purchased is going to be Thornmail, specifically because of Bramble Vest, which gives the enemies grievous wounds, which means they don't heal as well. Now Wukong has healing, Nasus has healing, Ari has healing, and if Lucian decides to purchase Blade of the Ruined King or Bloodthirster, he'll have healing. So all of these enemies need to have their healing just cut off completely. So Master Yi and I are engaging on the squishies, which includes Karma, Ari, and Lucian. I was hoping Master Yi would turn back, but instead he turret dives and dies. I managed to secure Karma, and then I turn my focus on Ari. Wukong is zoning out my squishies. Tristana is finally joining the fight, just a little bit late. Lucian and Ari are fighting me, which is a 2v1, which means I am for sure going to die. So I might as well take at least one of them now with me. I'm going to focus on Ari because she is much easier to catch than Lucian. Then I turn around on Lucian and hoping to catch him off. Unfortunately, Wukong comes in out of nowhere and saves his life. Nasus is alive and well. Now, Tristana and Brand are both pretty healthy. They could have helped me out a little earlier, but regardless of the fact, I just got outpositioned. Tristana there flashes just to kill Lucian, but she dies too. I'm going to say not worth. Brand is kind of trying to help there. So that was a really weird team fight. Usually in team fights, my suggestion is to try to find ways around the people that are zoning out, whether that be Wukong or Nasus, to kill the squishies. For example, if Tristana rocket jumped earlier, she could have killed Wukong, then she could have rocket jumped and helped me kill Lucian, and then she could have rocket jumped and killed Nasus if he turned around. However, that's always hypothetical and you think the perfect situation, but it is what it is. You can't really change what happens, and you just gotta get over it. Seems like my team is itching for revenge because they are doing another team fight in mid lane, which means I can focus on Baron lane. Nasus is farming jungle cramp, which is fine. He needs to get stacks up. Master Yi gets a double kill, but he dies yet again. So this guy is just looking for ways to fluff up his KDA, but he's not doing much of an impact in the game. And that's really important to know, because high KDAs doesn't always mean you're doing a lot for the team. In 30 seconds, Rift Herald spawns, so I'm trying to recall. Unfortunately, I get caught out by Lucian, and he prevents me from recalling, so I just have to walk back. At this point, Rift Herald is spawning in 20 seconds. Wukong is dead, which means that this is pretty much a free Rift Herald. However, neither Lulu nor Brand are rotating, so I'm not sure what to do in this situation. I was hoping they would rotate because I can drop Rift Herald at their inhibitor turret in Baron lane and take that turret myself. However, that didn't work out, so we have to figure out a way to get from here to Dragon to prevent the enemy team from taking it. Now, unfortunately, my team is very, very gung-ho in the situation, and we end up losing this fight. So Lucian, Karma, and Ahri are on the right side. Master Yi is just going on a straight line to Dragon. Now, there's a team fight going on, so I wouldn't suggest that, but, you know, Master Yi does what he wants to do. I'm trying to see if I can find a way to get to Ahri or to Lucian behind these guys. Unfortunately, I completely get zoned out from Lucian. Master Yi is getting absolutely popped off. Look at that damage he's doing, and with his passive, with Lucian's passive, he just managed to 2-tap him, and he dies. So now we have no jungler. So regardless of us trying to defend Dragon, we have to kill Wukong, which doesn't seem plausible. So I try to see if I can stop Wukong. That doesn't really work out. I flash to try to stop him. We just don't do enough damage, and that Lucian is just doing crazy damage. Brand is off on the side fighting Ahri. I kill Lucian here, thankfully, but they already took Dragon, so it's pointless. And I die here from, I believe, Karma. And here comes another pop-off from Tristana. That's a single kill. Right here is going to be a double kill on Nasus. Wukong is trying to get away, but Tristana with her rocket jump managed to catch him out. Flashes, uses her little bomb, triple kill, and Ahri gets transformed by Lulu, and that is a quadra kill. Well played, Tristana. Unfortunately, the quadra kill came a little too late. We lost Dragon, but at that point it is what it is. We are pinging to go for Rift Herald at this point because we really need to take Rift Herald. And we got Rift Herald. Sweet. At this point, I bought my fourth item, which is Force of Nature, because I need the zoomies. I need to catch up to the enemy team. It also gives me magic resist, which is useful to fight against Karma and Ahri, and also last a little longer in the fights. My next item is going to be Sunfire Cape, because I need a lot of health. And in team fights, the passive of Sunfire Cape really stacks up really well and does nice passive damage. So I do something really dumb in this part, so I'm going to speed it up a little bit. I see the whole enemy team is at Baron lane. My team is keeping them busy, so I think, okay, cool, I'm good to go. I can push his wave out. But my team decides to relieve the pressure, which means that I have no idea what the enemy team is, and I walk right into Lucian and Karma. I'm like, oh, great, that's what I get for trying to split push. And yeah, I die. It's just kind of funny. It is what it is, you know? And that's on me. I should have realized that my team wasn't in a position to defend themselves, and I could have just backed off. Here, Master Yi, who is 6 and 8, almost dies to a 0 and 6 Nasus. The rest of my team helps out. Tristana gets cut off, Lulu gets cut off, and they both die. Master Yi escapes with his life, and the enemy team is going to take this turret. But that was some great teamwork from the red team. I respawn, I just farm this wave and try to push it back towards the enemy team's side. My team is fighting in center lane. Tristana pinged warning on my lane, and I was like, okay, I'm going to go help you out. But I was like, you know what? Team fight's over. I'm just going to turn around and keep pushing this wave out. I know what I'm doing, kind of, sometimes. And I'm not taking Krugs, and that specific reason is because I'm already pretty good in gold, and Master Yi is behind in gold. So I'd rather him take Krugs as opposed to myself, just so we can catch up a little bit or still remain relevant in the team fights. So for my final item, I'm going to purchase Steric's Gauge, and that is because I feel like I'm tanky enough that I can survive in a team fight, and I have Sunfire Keeps that gives extra damage. I just need more auto attack damage, and Steric's Gauge is the perfect item for that. I was really hoping Master Yi would use that Rift Herald on Baron lane because it's the inhibitor turret, but that's besides the point. I see they're going to try to rotate towards Master Yi and Tristana, so I try keeping the enemy team busy by flashing and dragging them back into the middle lane. Only Lucian was able to go as opposed to the rest of the team, which is nice because it gives Tristana and Master Yi a chance to leave. Man, this guy's a savage. Could have left me at least Raptors, but whatever, I guess. Here comes another team fight, but with Sunfire Cape. Look at all this extra passive damage I'm doing. With all this health, with all the shields. I am just an unstoppable force right here. Look at that. I'm just dancing in the middle of them. They are going to chunk me down pretty nastily, but look at my team. They are staying healthy, and that's the whole point. I tanked all that damage so my team can dish out damage. And there are some questionable positioning decisions that Tristana makes in the middle of these fights, but that's fine. We won the fight. There's 13 seconds for a dragon to spawn. I'm hoping that Bran would stay and help us take this dragon, but, you know, he recalls and he buys himself a giant belt instead. That's fine. Whatever. Me and Tristana are here. We can take dragon by ourselves before the enemy team spawns. With 3 enemies dead, I really wish that Bran would have stayed with us, because if Ahri and Lucian did rotate towards us, I can tank all of your damage. That's not a problem, and Tristana and Bran can do as much damage to kill them. But again, this is a hypothetical. It doesn't exist. In the perfect world, it does exist. And that's just me telling you advice for the future in your games. If you guys have a numbers advantage, go for the objective. You guys can pretty much win at this point. Like, obviously it depends on the game, but in this game, we have a gold lead, we have a kill lead, we have a numbers lead. That dragon was free. And for example, if me and Tristana had recalled with Brand, that would give the enemy team time to gather up, get together, and cause a team fight for dragon. And opposed to it being free, it would be a little scuffle. Unfortunately, Master Yi dies yet again, but this time I am going to avenge his death. I see Wukong, Ahri, and Nasus. Brand uses his ultimate, so I'm going to focus on Ahri and try to kill her. It bounces into Nasus, so I ignite Nasus. I ult Ahri. I'm waiting for the ignite to kill Nasus. I'm going to focus on Wukong and make sure he sees away from Bran and Lulu. That doesn't really work out. And thankfully I still kill Wukong. And here I'm going to get in the way of Lucian and his ultimate and Lulu to make sure that she doesn't die. At least too early. However, Lucian is completely ignoring me. And here you'll see all of the shields that he gets from Karma. It is insane. Look at all that shielding. There's no anti-shielding in the game, so all I gotta do is just keep hitting it until it goes down. But I realized I gotta kill Karma to avoid him getting all these shields. Those shields are like a 2-second cooldown. I use my flash too early, and then you'll see why that kind of sucks later on. Here I focus on Karma to make sure the shields don't show up anymore. Here I could use my flash to get to Lucian and kill him maybe. Unfortunately, I didn't get a quadra kill, which kind of sucks, but at least Tristana is up there doing work. She just took 2 turrets, and we have an inhib down. And also because I used flash too early, Lucian was able to recall by guarding the angel and defend his nexus from Tristana. All of that was my fault. We could have ended this game so much earlier. Thankfully, the guardian angel just got popped right now this instant he bought it. And with that recall, I have Serap's Gauge, so I'm now at full build. I have armor, I have magic resist, I have health, I have super damage with Serap's Gauge. I also have a shield with Gargoyle Stone Plate. The enemy team is going for Baron because our Master Yi died yet again. I just have to go in there and try to stop them, unfortunately. So I'm doing it. I'm going Rambo in here. I'm focusing Wukong to avoid them from having smites. I get Lulu ultimate. I'm trying to kill any squishy I possibly can, but I just can't get to any of them. They're all so fast. I died here. Nasus is doing great work zoning out my squishies, and we all died here. This was a bad game, a bad fight for us. Master Yi got caught out too early. Bran really didn't do anything in that team fight. Here comes Tristana, trying to see if she can still drag Baron. They took it, but here comes a single kill, a double kill, a triple kill, and a quadra kill for Ahri. I'm going to say I helped out with a quadra kill because I was in the middle of it, but, you know, that's just for my own sake. The Winians are going to take the Nexus for the win. And with that, good game, and we've officially made it to Grandmaster. Up next is the post-end screen, or whatever you want to call it. But thank you all for joining me in this journey to Grandmaster. Up next is the journey to Challenger. However, I am trying my best to get you guys videos with different champions. At this level of gameplay, I feel like playing champions I'm comfortable with, but that might be boring from watching one champion over and over again. So I'm trying my best to give you guys more content that's different. And with that, here is the beautiful red mask. Thank you all for watching. I hope this video was fun, entertaining, and informational for you guys. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, drop them down below, and I'll be happy to talk to you. See you all soon.